Religion will tell you that you're not good enough.
God's gonna stand there and watch you burn. That's alright, because you wouldn't heed his word.
Religion will tell you that you're bad.
I just want the American public to know that with Barack Obama as your president, he's going to lead this nation to its final destruction.
That you are an enemy of God.
I mean, it's an outrage that people would come out here and tell us that we're going to go to hell and refuse to answer our questions logically, refuse to objectively say anything that makes any sense other than you're a sinner and that's how it is.
That God doesn't love you and that God is angry.
A community raising money for storm victims, a Christian music festival rocking Veterans Memorial Stadium today.
This is earthly and sensual and devilish.
Yeah, but across the street, a group of protesters creating a ruckus. You see, they are from a church in Woodville, Mississippi, actually objecting to rock music and its use in preaching faith. They set sights on this event to try and make their point.
Don't you turn to Jesus. You know, I think if most people were honest with themselves, their conscience would tell them that if Jesus were here today, he wouldn't be rapping and hip-hopping and gyrating on stage and charging people $30 to watch him do it.
You're setting a bad example. You're helping all these people go to hell. You're patting them back. Let's go to hell together. Why don't you repent and be a good example? Why don't you repent and let your light shine before men? Why don't you repent and start doing what's right and get saved before it's too late, before the judgment day?
Have you ever heard a Christian or self-professed Christian make a hateful statement about a specific people group?
Then when I was a teenager, I went to a Christian-based church, and the pastor told me that I was being, I asked if we could have a dance. He said that dance was for fornicators.
When the church that I was talking about previously, they didn't like how I had been raped, so they didn't want me to attend there anymore. They said I was disgusting and that I needed to be cleaned, but not at their church.
No pants. You have to be able to kneel on the ground and actually have your hemline touch the ground, and a lot of churches were more conservative than others. Some of them you couldn't show like even your elbows. You had to, have the cloth go over your elbows. A lot of churches wouldn't even let you show your collarbone. And then some churches wouldn't even allow wedding rings. They preferred you actually do watches because it wasn't jewelry, it was an accessory.
I was raised in a religious home. My grandfather was a pastor, and his father before him, and his father before him, and with that comes this mentality, especially for the women, that you're to carry yourself a certain way and to be proper, and I was made to wear dresses all the time, and went to a private school, and I was not to sin above all else, and I didn't know what sin was. I would ask my parents a question like, well, why can't we cuss? Why is it bad to drink alcohol? Because it's a sin. So why are we not allowed to have sex before marriage? Well, because it's a sin. They didn't tell me like practical reasons why certain things weren't a good idea. So I'm like, well, I'm not just going to do it because it's a sin and because, so I can be an obedient Christian. Like, I am not with that. Rules and obedience and all that, for what? I mean, for what purpose does that serve for me? Tell me that it's gonna give me a better life. Didn't want anything to do with God. I tried reading the Bible when I was little just to be good, and I was raised in a private school, so we learned a lot about the Bible, and so the stories were cool, but I didn't really know how to put that into my life. I was dysfunctional, and I was living with this rain cloud over my head that oh, woe is me, and I'll never be right, and I just have to, I was very suicidal from a young age. I tried to commit suicide. My first attempt, was a little baby attempt. I didn't really try, but I wanted to when I was 6. And this pressure religion put on me to be good, and when I didn't have the ability, is just nothing but the devil. Can I say that? I can't just be good on my own. A couple years ago, I really said, God, if this is all there is, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to be alive. Like, what is the point? And I went up to a retreat with a bunch of women from church, which at the time I didn't really get along with women, but I was like, well, I want to go up to the mountains and relax and just seek God. So I did, and I can't even tell you that it was a specific moment, but I felt peace, and I felt a big burden lift off me while I was there. And when I got back, it was like I just lost my taste for sin, for all those things that we call sin. Sin is just falling short of the mark. And, if you're drinking every day, when you got kids at home, you're falling short of the mark. If you're doing meth so that you can get the house clean, I would call that falling short of the mark. And when you're sleeping around with anybody who will give you any attention, hoping that maybe this one will be the one, that I would call that falling short. So I was living that life of falling short, the Christian word sin, what we call it. And I just lost my taste for it. Jesus did something inside of me to make me care about myself. And I felt the love of God, and I realized that I don't have to perform any way for him to love me. I didn't do anything to make him start loving me, and I can't do anything to make him stop. Since I met Jesus, I have experienced immediate freedom from addiction to alcohol, freedom from addiction to methamphetamines, and I no longer have to take my prescription drugs for mental health. Actually, I don't have depression problems. I don't have anxiety problems. I don't have headaches anymore. I was a wreck, and Jesus came in and he didn't just heal my heart. He healed my body. He healed my relationship with my parents. I'm now living in a 2-bedroom house with my 3 kids and my 2 parents, and we never fight.
What if I told you Jesus came to abolish religion? What if I told you voting Republican really wasn't his mission? What if I told you Republican doesn't automatically mean Christian, and just because you call some people blind doesn't automatically give you vision? I mean, if religion is so great, why has it started so many wars? Why does it build huge churches but fails to feed the poor? Tell single moms God doesn't love them if they've ever had a divorce, but in the Old Testament, God actually calls religious people whores. Religion might preach grace, but another thing they practice. Tend to ridicule God's people. They did it to John the Baptist. They can't fix their problems, and so they just mask it, not realizing religion's like spraying perfume on a casket. See, the problem with religion is it never gets to the core. It's just behavior modification, like a long list of chores. Like, let's dress up the outside, make it look nice and neat. But it's funny, that's what they used to do to mummies while the corpse rots underneath. Now, I ain't judging. I'm just saying, quit putting on a fake look. Because there's a problem if people only know that you're a Christian by your Facebook. I mean, in every other aspect of life, you know that logic's unworthy. It's like saying you play for the Lakers just because you bought a jersey. See, this was me too, but no one seemed to be on to me. Acting like a church kid while addicted to pornography. See, on Sunday I'd go to church, but Saturday getting faded, acting if I was simply created to just have sex and get wasted. See, I spent my whole life building this facade of neatness, but now that I know Jesus, I boast in my weakness. Because if grace is water, then the church should be an ocean. It's not a museum for good people, it's a hospital for the broken. Which means I don't have to hide my failure, I don't have to hide my sin. Because it doesn't depend on me, it depends on him. See, because when I was God's enemy, and certainly not a fan, he looked down and said, I want that man. Which is why Jesus hated religion, and for it he called them fools. Don't you see so much better than just following some rules? Now let me clarify. I love the church, I love the Bible, and yes, I believe in sin. But if Jesus came to your church, would they actually let him in? See, remember he was called a glutton and a drunkard by religious men. But the Son of God never supports self-righteousness, not now, not then. Now back to the point, one thing is vital to mention. How Jesus and religion are on opposite spectrums. See, one's the work of God, but one's a man-made invention. See, one is the cure, but the other's the infection. See, because religion says do, Jesus says done. Religion says slave, Jesus says son. Religion puts you in bondage, while Jesus sets you free. Religion makes you blind, but Jesus makes you see. And that's why religion and Jesus are two different clans. Religion is man searching for God. Christianity is God searching for man. Which is why salvation is freely mine and forgiveness is my own. Not based on my merits, but Jesus' obedience alone. Because he took the crown of thorns and the blood dripped down his face. He took what we all deserved. I guess that's why you call it grace. And while being murdered, he yelled, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." Because when he was dangling on that cross, he was thinking of you. And he absorbed all your sin and he buried it in the tomb, which is why I'm kneeling at the cross saying, come on, there's room. So for religion, no, I hate it. In fact, I literally resent it. Because when Jesus said, "It is finished," I believe he meant it.
I'm free. It's true what the word says, the Bible says, that he who the Son sets free is free indeed. And that is the truth. I am free.